glucose control, and it's very, very tiresome, and it's difficult. I was very unhappy about this like 5 or 6 years ago in 2014. It's actually 6 or 7 years, sorry. I was very unhappy about this. And I was mainly unhappy because being 2015, after, insulin was discovered in 1921, and years passed, and humankind, we have flown to the moon. We have developed a lot of amazing technologies. Our cell phones can identify our face and do incredible things. We have driverless or autonomous cars around the street. And for me, it couldn't be possible that we couldn't have a device that could automate the infusion of insulin into my body. This is the advancement of the technology from 2003 to 2010. Each device that you see on the picture is a new version, a new generation of the device. But if you look at them physically, they're exactly the same. And in my experience using each device, the only thing that changed from one device to another was a very small tweaks in software. And for me, this is when I learned about planned obsolescence. When companies have that technology, or you feel that they have the technology and the patents, but they develop the technology slowly, so you have to buy the devices year after year, and while your quality of life suffers from that, So this was something that myself and other people in that type 1 diabetes community knew about and suffered. And we felt that diabetes technology was like a black box with no interest in the patient's need. I needed to follow the instructions, and I needed to push buttons to make the device work. And there was no connection to the internet, so I couldn't tell my wife or somebody in my family if I was in danger, if my health was in danger. And I depended on myself and on being conscious about it. And it's very difficult, especially when you're asleep, where you cannot wake up to be conscious about your blood glucose and make health decisions related to that. So, oops, I think the controller disconnected. Yeah, it's not working. So I don't know if you can push to the next slide, please. Or is the computer stuck? Okay, so again, seeing it's working now. Thank you. So looking at Eric von Hippel's book again, he also says that some innovations arise around their need to solve problems in our lives, very personal problems, real issues that really affect us. And this was the technology at the time. The device on the left is a insulin, a blood glucose monitor that extracted blood glucose readings from my blood every 5 minutes. And I could be conscious about those, but the device on the right, which is the insulin pump, which I still have myself and I'm still using here, is not automated. So I need to push the buttons to react to that insulin level. So people obviously started developing technologies on their free time. Some people develop hardware, some people develop software. But all of these devices the important thing here is that they were freely, openly published so that other people could use them. So all of these technologies made a great advance in the quality of life of the users that began using these technologies. And everything was innovative, everything from the packaging to the devices themselves. So I also started around the time experimenting with electronics. And this was the first prototype that I built. It was not smart at all. The only thing that this did was extract the blood glucose reading from my sensors and just publish them online so that my family members could know if I was like on a trip, another city, another country, that they could know while I was asleep alone in a hotel room that I was okay and I was alive. And that was the only function of that device. But for me, the important thing, it was the first step in starting to experiment and starting to give that curiosity that I had a chance to get to know what things I could start developing. So after this, I think it froze again. So these devices I started developing, and what happened was that the community was first to develop this technology, and a community was built where the only objective was to develop things that help us solve our problems. So this happened in 2014, and then like 4 or 5 years had passed by before companies started producing systems that started or began to look something similar to automation. and internet connected. But it was first developed by the community, by the patients, by the people suffering from that disease. So for me, the question always was, how is it possible that a group of people were able to develop technology that was way, way, way more advanced than that of the technology that medical companies with billions of dollars of money or don't want or cannot develop? You know, there's only those two options for me. So for me, this second point in this talk is about open source and how it respects the user's freedom. Using the devices that the companies created, I had to follow the instructions exactly. And if I diverted from the instructions, my health was in danger. So I couldn't modify the function of those devices so that it could adapt to my own needs. So my development of devices, this was my first artificial pancreas. It was a large camera bag that I was carrying with me around every place I went. I was able to iterate and experiment and then develop a second version, which was smaller, and then a third version, which was even smaller. I was able to develop an interface for me. And this is the device that I now have with me, which the thing that has changed between the one you see on screen and this one is it's a bit more ergonomic, and I can carry it on my belt around, and the battery lasts longer and is more efficient, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These things I couldn't have done with the commercial devices because they're not existent, they're closed, they don't consider my own personal needs. So this was my blood glucose graph or distribution around the days of the week. The points below are hours of the day, and all of the red or orange points that you see there are points where my blood glucose was off range, was dangerous. And those, almost all of them happened during night or after or around meals. And after I implemented my device on myself, well, you can see that most of the points are green because I have better control. And the best thing about this is that I don't have to be thinking about this. It happens automatically without me being conscious about that. So this is actually a graph that I extracted in April this year, where my timing range is about 92%. My blood glucose average is 115. And those numbers are basically what are observed by doctors with people that have pre-diabetes. They're still not people with diabetes. They're not healthy, but they are like in between. And I feel very proud of having these numbers because this is what doctors say to you that will prevent any future complications with the disease advancement. So the second thing is that open source respects the community. We were able to build a DIY diabetes community around all of these software and hardware developments. We're people that we got together different times of years in different places around the world, just for the only objective, like no one is paying us, no one is there for the money for selling something. It's only to solve a very personal and very life-threatening situation for ourselves or for a child or for a sibling or someone in our family or someone in our community. So the most important thing to learn from all of this is that many of the innovations we benefit from were not necessarily created for us to benefit from. This is something that I've thought a lot about, that when Edward Banting and Charles Best developed insulin, they were obviously not thinking about me, or it was not made for me to survive. But even if that was not their objective, I was not even alive at the time of the discovery of insulin. I was born like 80 years later or 60 years later. I will always be thankful for their efforts and thanks to their curiosity and their experimentation and their discoveries, because without that, I wouldn't be alive today. So they were able to change the lives of many without even knowing about it, starting by simple curiosity and experimentation. And as Isaac Newton wrote on one of his letters to Robert Hooke, which was one of his enemies in 1676, this phrase was not invented by Isaac Newton, but he used it in that letter. He said, or he wrote, if I have seen a little further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. And he meant by this that all of his science advancements were possible thanks to the previous advancements of other scientists. So by experimenting, by having curiosity, we'll build on science development and humankind development. So for me, Ken Stagg was one of those giants, because I met him online when I published my software, my hardware. He one day emailed me and asked me questions about why I had published, and I responded to the questions, and we started becoming friends. And then he was a aerospatial engineer, very good at math, and he was able to teach me a lot of the math behind insulin and carbohydrates interactions. And the other giant that I consider for myself is Benjamin West. He's an engineer that spent 5 years of his life doing reverse engineering for these insulin pumps so that we could be able to control them remotely using radio frequencies. So he spent five years of his life not doing anything else on his free time, only doing reverse engineering for these devices. And I think that none of the automation technology that we have today in the open source community would have been possible without of his work. So this is a great motivation for me to continue to do things aligned with the open source ideology. And maybe somehow our curiosity and experimentation and sharing will help others see a little bit further. And I just wanted to quickly share 2 of the projects that are part of that open source developments that I have been participating in. One of those is called Glucodene. You can find it on GitHub. If you need the link, I can share that with you. But it basically helps you understand the interactions between carbohydrate absorption and insulin absorption in a person's body, and it helps you understand when you have type 1 diabetes how to decide the correct amounts of insulin to give yourself according to the amounts of carbohydrates that you have consumed during the day. And the second one is a system that we developed to function as a simulator for people developing systems to automate insulin delivery. Before testing them on themselves, they could test them in silico or software, and they can make sure that the software works as it is supposed to before testing it on a real human living person, you know. So for me, the invitation just before closing this talk is to invite you to do something open source. It could be a project that you discarded some time ago, or it could be a project that you need help with, and that you will be amazed to discover that other people around the world may have been thinking about the same issues, or may have been trying to look for somebody else that's working on something that's similar to what you're working on. So thank you. I don't know if there's going to be questions, I think.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gustavo Muñoz, for the amazing conference. Now we are about to start the question and answer section. For our viewers, remember that we will read the questions you wrote in the APSIS social media accounts. For APSIS participants, please raise your hand on the screen and we will give you the floor to ask your questions. Okay, we have a first question. In your opinion, why is open source a good option?
Okay, I think open source is misunderstood as free software, free of charge software, but it's less about that and it's more about giving people the freedom of decision. You can yourself tell me that when you use software that only allows you to do things on a certain way and does not allow you to customize the user experience, that's worse than a software that allows you to choose and allows you to customize the experience. Open source software is about that. Open source software is not necessarily free software, free of charge. There are businesses built around open source software. It's more about the freedom of decision, the freedom of customization, of not being limited. Because limitation, I think you can get to a point where it could be ethically wrong. Imagine a software that helps you walk if you are a paraplegic person, and then that software, I don't know, has like a limitation, like a trial or a 30-day trial or a monthly payment, and you don't pay for it, and then it stops working and you are unable to walk after that, or your personal decisions change and you need to modify the software so that it can adapt better to your own specific condition. And open source software allows that. Closed software does not allow that.
Absolutely right, Mr. Muñoz. We have another question. Are you currently developing another tool like the one you built for yourself?
Well, again, I'm always interested in things I know little about. I have been working on things related with other hormones in the body and trying to find out how to control or to decide the right amounts of medication for those hormonal imbalances. Those projects are in a very early stage now, so probably later I'll be able to publish them and you'll be able to look at those. But mainly right now I'm focused on things related with type 1 diabetes and the simulation software, which I've been very surprised to see some universities that actually have their own systems that simulate patients with diabetes come to this software and use it and modify it and use it to teach people that are endocrinologists or people that dedicate their lives to treating people with diabetes. And that for me is I feel very happy about it, very, very proud of that.
Well, that's amazing. We have now a question from the chat. Elliot Roswell asked, how do you balance open source releases with IP protection?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Actually, one of the issues that we in the diabetes community have is that most of the technology is patented. So there's intellectual property around that. And what happens is that we are not allowed, like if I wanted to make this technology get to everyone around the world, I'm not allowed doing that, because if I do, I will basically end up in jail or fined or being sued by the companies. So what happened naturally, I think, is that publishing it as open software that is based on my freedom of expression, and I can publish whatever I want, and people can decide by themselves if they get near the software and read about it and implement it on themselves. So the advantage is that we have the technology present. The disadvantage is that because of IP, it would not be as massive yet as commercial devices. But there are many smart people in the communities, and I trust that those developments somehow or someday in the near future will come, and these open source technologies will be able to be available to everyone that has type 1 diabetes. That is also my wish for the community.
Well, amazing your answer and your intentions, Mr. Munoz. I would like to ask our APSIS participants if you could help us with turning on your cameras on the Zoom. We would love to see your faces. Now, for another question we have from Nischal Paulo. If I build a product by using the open source hardware and software, like Arduino hardware and software, so can I claim like trademarks or copyright or patent?
Yeah, there are a lot of licenses that are around open source software. And some of those licenses, the most common of them are to give attribution to the project. So if you go to one of my projects and use it, you should at least say that you're using that software just like as a thank you note to the developers behind. And after that, I think, yeah, you can definitely build devices using open source hardware like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis. Those work mainly as prototypes. And after that, I recommend you to get near somebody that is experienced in IP, intellectual property, and do a research. And most of IP patents are public, and you can look for them and see if any of your developments infringe some of those patents, or if you are actually developing something that is new, or if there's something that infringes what you're doing, or that you're infringing a patent. At least you can know what things you have to change so that it could be claimed as a new innovation. So yeah, there are professional people dedicated to this. There's a lot of texts and books about this also, and a lot of technology online that you can search and look for that. But yeah, I definitely recommend you to do that research before publishing, because I've seen people get in trouble by not doing that part of the research.
Amazing, thank you. We have another question from Mexico. Who pays developers for open source software?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, obviously. many of the work that's open source, I've seen like two main cases. One case when there's a company that is making money already, and part of the software that they make money from, they decide to publish it open source because they know that the community outside will develop more innovations. And for those companies, it's cost effective. And the second case is the case like mine, where I've developed this software on my free time. So basically, I'm not expecting anyone to pay for this. I developed it mainly for me to solve a personal problem, and for me to also, since I did not consider myself an expert at the time, I was also looking for collaboration. So there are also some innovations happening in the industry where there are software as a services, and I think GitHub, which is a very large open source community or place where you can publish open source software, has given also like tools so that developers can receive donations from people using the software. So I have not seen like a formal job besides nonprofits that are built around open source software, where they hire people and they can pay people to publish that software as open source software. But I have not seen or I have seen very little software developers publishing software and then getting paid for it, like for a fixed monthly amount, as you would have been paid having like a formal regular job. I'm sure that there are those experiences happening, but I have not seen many of them. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your answer. Now we have a really great comment from someone in Mexico. We are very proud of having great scientists like you. Congratulations, great conference.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, and appreciate it.
Thank you to you. Well, now for the APSIS participants and viewers, now is the time to ask your questions. We have to really make use of this time with an expert like Mr. Munoz. So please, we are receiving your questions. So remember that you can raise your hands and we will give you floor to ask your questions.
So yeah, also another thing that I always do when I give these types of talks is invite people to participate. I think there's like a thinking that open source software is like giving away your ideas, and that your ideas are unique, and that other people will patent them and use them to make billions of money. And we need to stop thinking like that, and thinking that again, maybe you will not publish everything open source. Obviously, we need to live from something. We need to generate income and pay our bills. But I think that experimenting with this will be something that will blow your mind, and will make you discover many things that you didn't know existed before getting into something like this. So yeah, if you can try it, like, I really invite you. If you need help with that, you can contact me, and I will happily help you start publishing open source software.
Thank you so much, Mr. Munoz, for those amazing words of encouragement. Would you like to add something else?
Well, I don't know if there's any other questions. I'll happily answer them now, and if not, well, just thank you all for listening and watching this talk.
Well, thank you so much to you for your fantastic conference and for everything that you share with us. Thank you for everyone who participated. Don't forget to watch our next activity, the team leader session, where worldwide leaders will discuss team and scientific culture issues. See you in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Hi guys, I give the floor to Mr. Gustavo in order to check the last question that you raised. As soon as we close the participation in the chat, but I give him the floor. Just give me a second. I'm opening the chat in order to answer your question.
Okay, so hello again. So if I build a product by using the open source hardware and software like Arduino hardware and software, so I think I already answered this question.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
so yeah, no problem. But yeah, again, this question with building a prototype. Yeah, there are a lot of technologies, very low cost technologies, very accessible. There are a lot of tutorials online which can help you build using those open source hardware and software tools. Yeah, Arduino is one of those that's incredible. Raspberry Pis are other of those devices that are incredible. Those are very good for developing your initial prototypes. And yeah, for me, that was the thing that maybe made me be conscious about, like, I built a version 1.0 and I was like, it was not even a good prototype, but for me, it made me feel that I could be able to build something better on top of that. And then after that, I didn't stop. So yeah, I invite you to try that with hardware and software again.
Thank you so much. Well, this is all the people that is connected.
Okay.
Thank you so much to all of you. I will give you some words in a few minutes. Hello, so we are going back to all of you, my dears. So the next session, that is the session of the team leaders, will start in 15 minutes. I please kindly invite all your participants that came out from this link, because in this link only will be the leaders that has been confirmed their participation. So I kindly ask you, to all our participants and supervisors, to leave and to follow us in the link of our social media in order that you can be part of this discussion session. It's me again. I hope that you haven't missed me so much. My dears, could you open your microphone, your camera, sorry, just to check your images, because it will be important all of you appear perfectly when you make your discussion and your introduction. So could you open your camera, please? Hello, hello, hello. Do you hear me? Hello, hello.
Hi.
Okay. Just give me. Okay. Perfect. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Okay. I can see perfectly to Mrs. Christine McCormick. I see Roy Rod from Cambodia. Welcome. I can see also, just give me a second. I can see Mrs. Una. Welcome. Thank you so much. Just let me check it. Also, I can see Mr. Kukun. Dr. Min, welcome. Monica, welcome too. And well, I can't see anyone else because all the others has their cameras off. So please, could you open your camera just to check that your image is working well, please? We are not starting yet. It's just to check your video, please. Okay. Welcome, Arlene. Welcome, Mrs. Arlene. Thank you so much for opening your camera and your microphone. Perfect. Just I'm checking more. Everything until now is working fine, but we're still missing people. Okay, we welcome. Sorry, because I'm a little blind. Okay. Perfect. So, well, there is a lot of people that is not yet opening their cameras, but we will check it as soon as they can open. Okay, just to oh, perfect. Umid also welcome to this meeting. It's a pleasure to see all of you, even if we are so far, but we feel you here. So I hope that you are feeling the same. And well, the idea of this activity is to have like an expression time and a space for comparing what is happening in our countries, to explain a little bit the challenges that you have been having or facing during this pandemic, or by organizing STEAM activities. But also, if you remember, or if some of you notice, there is like an initiative in which we are trying to push that this day, September 28th, be declared as an International Day of Scientific Culture. So the idea is that during this activity of the roundtable, also we want to check with all of you, depending on your countries and on your backgrounds, what is for you, and asking two specific questions. The first one is, why do you think that the people and in the common lives should have like a scientific or should know about science? And the second one is related on what involves, or what is the main cue or the main objective as a scientific background people. What are your involvement in the society? What are you thinking that it's important as a scientific background people to develop in the country? So I will, just to confirm and to let you know about the activity, what will happen is that we will have first a welcome word for one authority here in Sonora. She is the Ministry of Tourism, and she wants to see all of you, give you a welcome words like leadership. And after that, Mr. Roberto Hidalgo will give us like a few information about this day, this celebration of the International Day of Scientific Culture. And after that, I will start and moderate this discussion, and I will give like the information, the instructions that I already give a little bit, and I will ask some questions, and I will give the floor to every one of you. And the idea is that we can compare what is happening in Cambodia, what is happening in Indonesia, what happened in Turkey, in Russia, and Thailand until now, because I can't see anyone else open the camera. So I don't know if until now there is any question. No? No? Everything good? Okay, I hope so. But if there is any question, just let me know. So we are just waiting also for this authority, and we will start in I don't know, like in 5 minutes, I think so. Just give me a second. Yes, in 5 minutes, sure. So I give you like some minutes to be ready, and we will start. So thank you so much. Welcome, Mr. Bob. Perfect. Welcome, Mr. Bob. I can see you perfectly.
Gracias.
Gracias a usted. Okay, there's someone else. Okay, so I will come back. I will, if you want to turn off your camera in this moment, it's okay. I will come back in 4 minutes. Sorry, 3 minutes, in fact.
Hello, guys. We would be very happy if you could turn your cameras on. We would like to see your faces and see that you are there. Could you please turn your cameras on? Thank you.
Hello, dear friends. It's a pleasure one more time to have you here in the Asia Pacific Conference of Young Scientists, APSIS 2021. We're very glad to have all of you here. I am very happy to see all the faces on the screen. And of course, we are very honored to welcome all the leaders from the world who are part of this fantastic event. Thanks to you, all youth from all the world are ready to present great ideas for a better future. Well, during this activity, during this roundtable, we will hear leaders talking about scientific culture and STEAM challenges. Today is a very special day for us because we're celebrating the International Day of Scientific Culture. To learn more about this, I would like to introduce Mr. Roberto Hidalgo, Chief Coordinator of La Red MEX. Mr. Roberto, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and it's an honor for me to receive to all the delegation leaders in the Asia Pacific Conference of Young Scientists 2021 in Mexico. And moreover, that we are celebrating today the International Day of the Scientific Culture. This idea, it's a joint idea with 6 other organizations from Mexico and Costa Rica that last year we launched to all over the world. But this year, many countries and many organizations support the idea to celebrate together this important action. As you know, the culture is integrated by many factors, about some of them about traditions. Another one are, for example, the music or the folklore of each country, but also the politics and the communication and sports. All these kind of factors are integrated to have a culture. But the science and technology play a key role also in the culture. And that's why all the people who has dedicated their lives to the research, to teach in the schools, and also to the dissemination of the science and technology. And this activity is really has a great value for everybody. So many people, just as you, are making this happening. So we are very proud to have all the delegations leaders together today in this Asia Pacific Conference for Young Scientists. We learn a lot from you, and we also want to show what we are doing in our country and share with other countries and some experiences and learn a lot of. So thank you very much for this big opportunity, and let's celebrate together the International Day of the Scientific Culture. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Roberto, for these nice words. We are all very happy. All of us who love science are excited to celebrating this day. Well, now I would like to welcome a very special woman who has received us in this fantastic state of Sonora with a warm welcoming and this production and this event. Thank you very much, and welcome to Mrs. Celida Lopez Cárdenas, Sonora State Secretary of Tourism. The mic is yours.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, because I don't have camera right now. I have a big problem with my phone, and I don't know why, but the link don't have the, the numbers for the code for going. So sorry very much, but I'm here, and I'm very worried for that. But I must to be here to say that our governor Alfonso Durazo has a big interest to receive to this event. Right now we have in our city and in our state around 11 countries right now playing baseball. And this, the age of the players is around 18 years old. So I'm sure that we have all the opportunities to make a great team to give to us security, the correct health services. And I think this is the first time that this event come out of Asia. So Hermosillo and Sonora has all that you want to know. If you want to go to the beach, if you're gonna go to eat the best food that you never, Mexican food that you never know, this is the correct place. But in the same time, let me know that this is the place. If you try to find the first deserts in all the world, we are between the biggest desert in the world. And if you go to internet and you try to find, we have a Pinacate, is a big reserve, and this is how do you say Patrimonio de la Humanidad? How do you say Patrimonio de la Humanidad? Everybody can help me?
Humanity, it's a reservation.
Yes, we have this place
Humanity
right now.
reservation, like nature.
Yeah. So this place is very special. We have volcanoes there. In the same time, we have beach, you have desert. We are right now driving in 1 hour in 2 different beaches. And I'm sure that you can learn more of our culture. We have 9 different ethnias. If you want to go to the Tiburon Island or Wake Island, is the second island biggest in all Mexico. But in the same time, in this city, we have a lot of universities and we have a lot of people learning about technology and science. So I'm sure you can find here the places, the people that is waiting for us. And my work in this meeting is very important because I represent here in this meeting all the government in the state, not only the city. We are representing this meeting the state, and the governor will help us to make a difference and to make a big history, to have a very great time with you. So please, if you decide to come, I'm sure for all the students that are connecting, all the fathers and mothers, all the teachers, all the people and the members of the organized members, you will be very happy here and you will be very glad because we have the technology, the knowledge, and all the heart to be the best experience in this event. Thank you so much.
Welcoming us in this fantastic state. Now I would like to introduce Ms. Bere Suarez. She will explain the activity and she will be guiding the discussion the rest of the session. Thank you very much. And Bere, the mic is yours.
Thank you to you, Liz. It's a pleasure for all of us to be here and to welcome all of you, our team leaders that are being so supportive to develop this activity of APSIS 2021. So as we mentioned it in a previous session, the idea of this activity, or the main objective, is to hear the opinions and your thoughts, and of course also the concerns about two main subjects. The first one is about the STEAM challenges that your organizations has been facing during this pandemic, but also we will take the time to talk about scientific culture. So if all of you agree, we can start. So I will give the first question to all of you, and I will also appoint who is the first person that needs to open your microphone and to start giving us. So the first question that I want to raise is main challenges. What is the main challenges of your organization has facing in all this process to organizing STEAM activities during this pandemic activity and period? Or to Mrs. Una McCarthy, that is a representative from Cambodia. So if you can open your microphone and give us your amazing information about Cambodia.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? Thank you. As you said, I'm coming to you from Cambodia. I am working with a local NGO here called STEM Education Organization for Cambodia, and we organize a global event to ignite a love of STEM in Cambodia for the next generation coming up. So we usually run our whole work, it revolves around events, festivals, workshops, you name it. It's a normally face-to-face event. So since the pandemic, we have completely reinvented ourselves, and we have risen to the challenge, and actually we see it as an opportunity, because our events were usually all focused on the capital city here in Phnom Penh. And with the pandemic, we had to transform ourselves and transform our events into online. And that meant reached across the country to the provinces, which is actually where it is really needed. So actually for us, it took a lot of work, but we were able to reach and attract attendees from the provinces. We delivered a virtual festival, our first ever online STEM competition that attracted entries in from the provinces, even to remote areas where there were indigenous communities, we had entries come in. And we also converted our STEM Sisters program to online. And at the moment, we're running the World Robot Olympiad completely online, because most of the schools here have been closed for a number of months, and it has been difficult to communicate with schools. So you're asking me for the challenges. I would summarize them because I know our time is short. Our challenges are internet connectivity across the country, lack of devices. Some students do not have access to computers and phones. We also struggle with mindset, because some people think that actually it's just too hard. I'll just wait until school's open again, but we must not do that, because it may go on for some time more. So we need to convince people that yes, you can make sure your learning does not stop through this pandemic. You need to be open to these online activities. And we also struggle with language, because in Cambodian language, our resources are not as extensive as they would be in, say, English, for example. So we are all the time developing our resources in Khmer, and the mother tongue here, and as well as English, and trying to increase the skill level in English so that more resources can be used by teachers and students here. Not only English, it could be other languages too, but we need to be careful that we protect the the native language too, and develop my resources hand in hand with increasing the foreign language skills. So they are our challenges, and we're just working steadily towards attracting as many people as we can, and we have done a pretty good job of that. And I think that this event has been amazing. And the winners of our online festival are here as our Cambodian delegation. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Maybe I hand the floor to somebody else now.
You, Dr. Una, it's a pleasure also to hear all those things. And if you allow me, I can make a resume about your in your participation. And the main challenges that you are talking about is internet connection, the not native English speaker as a non-native English speaker. All the materials maybe it's like a difficult to have in another languages. Also, this encouragement about that not all people has the same devices or facilities to have these sessions of education and so on. So I will give the floor, and we will move a little bit to Thailand in order to know what is happening there. So I will give the floor to Dr. Min. So if you can just give us a little more like a feedback of what is the main challenges that you are facing in Thailand regarding this pandemic, and specifically in the organization of STEAM activities.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I am the representative of KBIS. We are Community with Science Academy. So students in our school are selected from all over the country. And they are selected by the ability in science and mathematics. So, but lucky, many of them have shown that they also have ability to perform music, art, and they also have interest not only in science but also in the arts. But the challenge, of course, this is not happening in all of the kids. The first thing is that for those who don't have ability, they don't care. They don't know what is the importance. Okay. So I would say the first challenge is to convince them to understand why we have to combine art together, because we focus mainly on the STEM in our school. All right, that's the first challenge. The second is would be to convince teacher. We also have teachers that are able to do, science and math teacher who can do the art and music and some other activities. But because of the work that we have to face every day, to the activity that connect between STEM and art. So the second challenge would be convince the teacher and to give them enough time to work on the STEM. All right. And especially in this time, in the pandemic, we have quite enough, but not perfect internet connection. But because in doing the laboratories, to do the activities, we lack of the hands-on activities. However, teachers are trying to solve the problem by sending equipments to students at home. So we have about 216 students right now. So 72 per class. So for each class, some of the subject would send material so that they can do the laboratories home, right? So this is what we're doing right now. Okay. So the challenge of the STEAM activity during the pandemic would be the real activity, okay, the limitation of the real activity that we can do, the communication between students, the cooperation between groups of students cannot be done like when they can meet face to face. So that would be the challenges from us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Min. Yes, you're right. I think that all of us are facing this, like no person contact and like no possibility to have like a relation, a real relation and a real connection with the people, because many times it's not like clearly understand or visible if their people is getting the same that you are saying. And I think that's something that you have raised about the role, the key role of the teachers in this pandemic is something very, very important to highlight, because I think that one of the most impressive work that the people has been done during this pandemic, it's about the teachers. The teacher has or needs in this moment to develop a lot of content to check many different possibilities and creative ideas to get and to teach in a better way to all these students that are not face to face with them. So based on this, I will give the floor to Mrs. McCormick, Christine McCormick, that is representative from Guam, in order to give us a little bit the perspective of what is happening in Guam, that is really far from Mexico, but the Pacific Ocean is joining us. So I give the floor to Mrs. Christine McCormick.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we are far away because actually we are beginning tomorrow already here. It is after midnight for us. And so that's how far we are from Mexico. And so one of our biggest problems, of course, being in the middle of the Pacific Ocean is getting supplies and to be able to run our experiments and things like that. And, you know, from the pandemic, there was a lot of, we had a lot of supply issues with equipment and things like that, that just we weren't able to get. And then of course, trying to reconfigure all of our labs from hands-on activities to now we are spending a lot of our time on the computer because we've got a really small island and we've got a very small healthcare system. So we've had to take it very seriously, and we've been doing online education for a lot, as many of the other countries here have been doing. And so trying to find good, reliable activities that are available for our students to share when they're behind their computer. And also it's hard because science is meant to be done, it's meant to be, you know, we're supposed to grasp it and put our hands in it. To always be in front of a screen is a real challenge because we can't, like, you know, we're missing that three-dimensional aspect of it because we're like staring at a screen and finding simulations. And I compliment any of the companies and people out there that are trying to put together you know, simulations for us to be able to use, and that's been really helpful to be able to do that. But that's some of the challenges that I've seen. You know, it's just you know, trying to convert everything from being hands-on to being online or socially distant, because once we're back in school, we've got to try and keep our distance between the students. And so that can be difficult to be able to do. And so that's one of the things we're finding.
You're right, Mrs. McCormick. And yeah, a little far we are, but if you can see, all of us are sharing the same problematic as I can see. So I give the floor to Mrs. Monica Raharti, that is a representative from Indonesia, in order to know a little bit more what is also happening regarding these STEAM challenges that the organization are facing due to the pandemic, not only for the education, but also for making all the organization and organizing activities about STEAM. So Monica, the mic is yours. Money? Something is happening. Well, we can move to Mr. Kukuro Kohar, that is also representative from Indonesia, in order that he can give us like this feedback of what is happening related on the STEAM challenges that the organization is facing about pandemic, and how they are like facing it and improving their activities and their support of the.
Thank you for the opportunity, Ms. Monica, to represent Ms. Monica from Indonesia, and what are our challenges during this pandemic situations. The first thing that we experience in Indonesia is about the limited activities. So you notice, everyone noticed that we have more screen time, but less activities for the students and also for the teachers. And what come up in our mind, is it fun? No, I don't think so. Is it tiring? Yes, it is. The students and teachers are gaining weight, not knowledge. They are gaining weight. Me, I myself, I gaining weight, because less activities, more screen time. And teachers learn to getting use of the technology, and that will be good. Before, I don't know what is Zoom. I don't know what is Google Meet. Now I know what is Google Meet and what is Zoom and how to operate with this and teach the student how to do this. However, the students get limited knowledge due to connection problems and other cores. Like they are doing the household chores, their mom calling him to help for some duties at home, so they are not focusing while they are learning and studying at home. The second thing that we experience is the methodology is changed. The research secondary data not based on the experiment. Students are not get used into this learning and research methodology. We, as a teacher, might be get used to it, but not the students. They are still young and they are still curious about what is there in the world waiting for them. Not just looking from the journals, papers, and learn from it, and then try to represent it or present it again into their papers. No, this is not the world yet. The world is experimenting and experiencing. And the last one that we experience in the community is it's hard to adapt for this kind of situations. I think it's for everyone. You might heard that in Indonesia we have a very big increasing patients every day and getting worse in Southeast Asia. But thankfully that right now we are just survive. Yeah, we are survive in Indonesia, and we are hard to adapt for this kind of situation. It's a new thing for us. Yes, a new one for sure. Even the world has experienced it during the Spanish flu. Yeah, but trust me, I haven't born yet, and therefore we take days, months, yeah, even years, yeah, to adapt with this kind of situations. Students adapt, teachers adapt of this teaching and learning activity. I think those three are the biggest problem that we face in Indonesia. That the first, limited activities, more screen time, less activity, and then research based on secondary data, not based on experiment anymore. And then it's hard to adapt for this kind of situations. That's what we face in Indonesia. Thank you for that. I think it's you still muted. I think you are.
Having some issues, just give me a second. We're checking. Just I received some information. As you know, everything in this moment is streaming live, and many things could happen when you stream live. But well, we are trying to check all the things that are happening just as soon as they confirm it. So, well, so yes, as I mentioned it, we are facing almost the same. And the idea here is that to move to another place that is really far from us also, that is the Czech Republic. I give the floor to Dr. Vasily in order to know what is happening in Russia about these challenges that the organization is facing and how they organize STEAM activities due to the pandemic and how they are facing this problem. So Dr. Vasily, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much. I welcome you all to the wonderful event that is happening now in Sonora. And also I'm very happy to see all my friends. Hello. It's very nice to see Christine, which is fantastic. You've been to Yakutsk, and also Umid Karademir Hatun. I see that. It's fantastic. You've been to Yakutsk as well. So I've seen many of you in Yakutsk, which was wonderful. It was the event, a pre-pandemic event. As much as I say, the world have changed since then. And I think it changed in many ways to something much more different than we have expected, and therefore today it is very poignant that we are celebrating this wonderful new day of the scientific culture, which is very much the thing that made our country, Russia, as a country as it is now, because it's such a big country, and something that people has to study a lot and research in order to keep it together and somehow help each other. And today I have to say that because of all these restrictions and all the developments of digital technologies, we have been able to have some new avenues to work on. For example, we started a very new and interesting projects, such as the so-called My Scientific Summer, and many kids from all different parts of Russia, from different regions, like 6-hour zone regions, joined together on a online platform to do their own local research and share their findings, work together with the expert, which is, it's a fantastic project which has been going on for entire 2 summers, and in fact it's going on even now because the kids are having their own data. They've been compiling them. Somehow they're already making some interesting research papers, etc. And it helps them to find and understand a lot about how to do the real science together with the researchers who's been on field working very hard, transmitting their own knowledge and methodology of science, which is the extremely good developments. And the other thing is that we have managed to also organize our Olympiad system, which is the subject Olympiad system, in a very good way. So therefore now we have the Olympiad for the school level, at the school level, done throughout the country, at every school, on a very organized manner, when we have all the Olympiad task has been devised by a very able group of people, the extremely highly specialized designers of this task, who's been working with the many Olympiads on an international level. And now this all come to the school level, which is fantastic. And now we have all the school, almost all the school in Russia doing the same Olympiad at the same time in maths, in physics, in informatics, etc. And my organization is one of the organizers of that Olympiad, which is a very exciting new developments. We have been managed to bring together thousands of people working in a concert in order to give the opportunity to our school children to join to this wonderful Olympiad movements. So therefore we can somehow find new talents and bring some interested new kids into the field of science, which is another good and exciting development. And other thing is we also, because of this, we have our traditional summer Olympiads, which is we call the International Tuimada Olympiad, which has been going on for last 26 years. And this year we finally we managed to increase the number of participants, for example, in March, to more than 260 people and bring together more than 26 countries, which is extremely good, especially in maths, because the several years it was such a slow moving development, because we had been limited by the number of physical attendees of that Olympiad. And now we have all the possibilities of having these digital revolutions results helping us to increase the number of people participating. And we have been able to discover that so many wonderful talents we have, especially in the East Asia, especially in Indonesia, for example. There's so many good maths kids there, so which is wonderful. And we've been very happy to say that all the new challenges also bringing some extremely new and bright hopes for the future of our world. So therefore I believe that we are going in a right direction, and having even this conference, which is wonderful, because I could never imagine that we've be able to sit together on this platform and chat despite of all these different time zones, etc. So thank you very much. I hope that in your parts of elephants also going in with the absolutely bright breakneck speed. So I the wonderful parts of our world and life nowadays. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vasily. It's like hearing you is like a fresh air for all of us, because all of us are maybe many times we are like focusing on like not so positive things, and maybe also by the lockdown and all the things that are around us, many times we lose the way to think that this situation that we are facing is not only like a limitation, but it's also a possibility to start something new and to make things happen in a different way, but making things happen. So I want to move a little bit faster because we have a lot of things to discuss now. So, but I will give the floor to Mrs. Umit Karademir, that is our representative from Turkey, in order to know a little bit more what are they doing to continue making these activities about STEAM, that also they are facing the situation of pandemic, but how they are facing this situation and how they are pushing kids to participate on STEAM education and STEAM activities. So I give the floor to Mrs. Sumit. Thank you so much. The mic is yours.
Okay, hello everyone, my dear friends. For the difficulties of organizing STEM activities, economic, working environment, procurement of necessary materials can be counted, especially in our country, since there is an exam centered education system, and it is not in the school curriculum directing students to STEM studies, can only be realized with the efforts of children and educators. In particular, students who are curious and talented in STEM apply to our center, and we curious and talented in STEM apply to our center, and we provide consultancy to them in line with their interest, and we carry out various STEM activities. We organize the international Buca IMSEF competition in order to increase these STEM studies in our country and encourage students from different cities of our country to study STEM.
Thank you so much, Umit. It's really sure that we are like doing like things like this in all our organizations. And well, I give the floor to the next speakers that we have and participants of this roundtable. That is Ashley Ushua, that is from Macau. She's a representative from Macau, and it's also far away from us. But I would like to know what is happening in Macau and how are you facing all this situation of pandemic due to your STEM activities. The mic is yours, Ashley.
Hello, everyone. Due to the pandemic, we do face a lot of challenges like most of the other country, and especially not as much physical activity, and the government has been putting up quite some restrictions. We have some more new cases confirmed with the Delta variants. And I think another very important challenges we have is funding. Because the whole economy has been influenced quite badly. So government has been cutting budget